Welcome to the Parkrun Brief, the weekly parkrun training podcast where I break down what we've published this week on parkruntraining.co.nz and turn it into practical coaching advice you can use this Saturday. On the Sunday reset, the missing session, why you need threshold work to break 20 minutes. For many parkrunners, breaking 20 minutes becomes the line in the sand. It's the milestone that separates reasonably quick from genuinely fast. And yet countless runners spend months, sometimes years, stuck somewhere between 20:30 and 22 minutes, wondering why the gap feels so difficult to close. They run regularly. They complete parkrun most Saturdays. They sprinkle in some intervals. They work hard, but they're often missing one crucial ingredient: threshold training. If you're serious about running under 20 minutes, threshold work is arguably the most important session in your week, and Sunday is the perfect time to understand why. The problem with training only hard and easy. Most recreational runners naturally gravitate towards two types of running: easy runs and hard runs. The easy runs help recovery and build aerobic fitness. The hard runs feel productive because they're challenging, but the gap between the two intensities is often where the biggest gains are hiding. And that's where threshold training lives. And if you're skipping it, you're leaving lots of performance on the table. What is threshold running? Threshold running sits at that comfortably uncomfortable effort. You're working, breathing is controlled and definitely elevated. You can speak a few words but not hold a conversation. It's harder than an easy run, but noticeably easier than a 5K race effort. For most runners, a threshold work falls around what you could sustain for roughly an hour of racing. The magic of threshold training is that it teaches your body to process and clear fatigue more efficiently whilst maintaining a strong pace. In simple terms, it helps you run faster without feeling like you're working harder. Why it matters so much for parkrun. Think about what happens during a fast parkrun. The first kilometre usually feels manageable. The second and third require concentration. The fourth starts asking serious questions. The fifth becomes a battle between fitness and fatigue. Threshold training improves your ability to handle those middle kilometres. Instead of the pace feeling progressively harder, you become more comfortable operating near your limit. That means better pace control, less slowing in the second half, greater confidence when discomfort arrives, stronger finishes. In many ways, threshold training teaches you how to race. The missing link for sub 20. Runners chasing a sub 20 parkrun often assume they need more speed. Sometimes they do, but more often they need more durability at speed. Being able to run one fast kilometre isn't a challenge. Being able to run 5 of them back to back is. That's exactly what threshold work develops. It builds the bridge between your aerobic fitness and your race pace. Without that bridge, your speed never fully translates into performance. What threshold training looks like. The good news is that threshold training doesn't have to be complicated. Examples include 3 by 8 minutes at threshold effort, 4 by 6 minutes at threshold effort, 15 to 20 minutes continuous at threshold effort, 2 by 10 minutes at threshold effort. The focus isn't on sprinting. It's on maintaining a controlled, sustainable effort for an extended period. You should finish feeling like you've worked hard, but not destroyed. That's a sign you got it right. Why many runners avoid it. Threshold work isn't flashy, doesn't provide the excitement of all-out intervals. It doesn't feel as comfortable as easy running. It sits right in the middle, and that's exactly why it's so effective. The sessions require patience, discipline, and consistency. 3 things that happen to be very useful on parkrun day 2. Your Sunday reset. If you're chasing a faster parkrun, particularly a sub 20 finish, ask yourself a simple question. Am I regularly including threshold work in my training? Not occasionally, not when you feel like it, regularly. Because while speed sessions get the attention and easy runs build the foundation, threshold training is often the session that pulls everything together. It's the missing link, the workout that makes race pace feel more comfortable, the session that helps you hold on when others begin to fade. And for many runners, that's the difference between dreaming about a sub 20 parkrun and actually running one. The Saturday Spark, the first kilometer trap, why going out 5 seconds too fast costs you sub 20. For runners chasing a sub 20-minute park run, every second matters. That's obvious. What's less obvious is how a seemingly tiny pacing mistake early in the run can cost you far more than those seconds later. Consider this. Going out just 5 seconds too fast in the first kilometre could be the difference between a 19:59 and a 20:15. Doesn't sound like much, but when you're operating close to the limit, small mistakes have big consequences. Why the first kilometre feels so easy. The start of parkrun is deceptive. You're fresh. The crowd is moving quickly. Adrenaline is flowing. Your legs feel fantastic. And that's exactly why so many sub 20 attempts fail before the first kilometre marker. A runner targeting 19:59 needs to average almost exactly 4 minutes per kilometre. But that's incredibly common to see runners aiming for sub 20 come through the first kilometre in 3:50, 3:52, 3:55. It feels controlled at the time. The problem is that the bill arrives later. The cost of those 5 seconds. Let's say your goal pace is 4 minutes per kilometre. You run the first kilometre in 3:55. Congratulations, you've banked 5 seconds. Except running doesn't work like a bank account. Those 5 seconds come at a physiological cost. Your heart rate rises earlier, breathing becomes harder sooner, lactate accumulates faster, energy expenditure increases. You haven't just run 5 seconds faster, you've changed the entire effort profile of the run. That often leads to a 4:02 becoming a 4:05, and a 4:05 becoming 4:10, the final kilometre becoming survival mode. What the best sub 20 attempts look like. The strongest sub 20 performances are really dramatic. They're controlled. The athlete reaches the first kilometre feeling relaxed, composed, in rhythm, slightly restrained. In fact, many successful sub 20 runners feel like they're holding back during the opening stages. That's not weakness, that's discipline. The real goal of the first kilometre. The purpose of the first kilometre is not to gain time. The purpose of the first kilometre is to set up the final kilometre. Anyone can run 3:55 when they're fresh. The challenge is still running strongly at 4 kilometres. The runners who break 20 minutes consistently are often the ones who are still moving well when everyone else is slowing down. Your sub 20 challenge this weekend. If you're targeting sub 20, try this. Run the first kilometre at 4-minute flat pace. Not 3:55, not 3:50, just a 4 minutes flat. Trust the process, trust your fitness, trust that patience early creates opportunities later. Then focus on staying smooth through kilometres 2 and 3, maintaining rhythm through kilometre 4, attacking the final kilometre. That's where a sub 20 is earned. Saturday Spark takeaway. If you're chasing a sub 20 park run, don't try and win the first kilometre. Don't bank time. Don't mistake adrenaline for fitness. Run your goal pace from the start. 5 seconds gained early can cost 15 seconds later. Run with patience, run with discipline, and give you the best chance of seeing a 19 on the clock. The Friday Fast Track. Master your tempo run for improved endurance. Tempo running is often described as the bread and butter of distance running, and for good reason. It sits in the sweet spot between easy running and harder threshold work, helping you build fitness without accumulating excessive fatigue. This Friday Fast Track session uses a sustained 14-minute tempo effort to develop strength, rhythm, and confidence at a strong aerobic pace. Today's workout. Warm up, 10 minutes at level 2, easy, relaxed running. Main set, 14 minutes at level 3, tempo effort. Cool down, 10 minutes at level 2. Post run, 10 minutes gentle stretching. Why this works for parkrun. The tempo run teaches you how to settle into a challenging pace and maintain it without drifting into discomfort too early. The sustained effort develops aerobic fitness while reinforcing the practice of discipline needed to run strong from start to finish. For park runners, this session helps you improve aerobic endurance, build pacing confidence, develop a strong, sustainable running rhythm, increase resistance to fatigue, and make race pace feel more comfortable. The beauty of tempo running is its simplicity. There are no recoveries to hide behind, just a steady effort that rewards patience and consistency. How it should feel: strong and controlled. Breathing is elevated but rhythmic. You could say a few words but not hold a conversation. The effort remains steady throughout. You should finish the 14 minutes feeling challenged but capable of continuing a little longer if required. My tip: avoid chasing pace. Instead, focus on effort and rhythm. Some days you'll run faster than others at the same effort level, depending on factors like fatigue, terrain, and weather. Trust the process and aim for a smooth, controlled run rather than a specific number on your watch. Want to finish your next parkrun feeling stronger and more in control? Grab my free guide, Stronger for Parkrun, a quick routine to finish your 5K better. The link is in the description below. It's a simple, effective strength session you can add after any run, including today's Friday fast track workout. Why most runners plateau between 20 and 25 minutes. If you've been running parkrun for a while, you've probably experienced the excitement of those early improvements. You start running regularly, you learn how to pace yourself, your fitness improves, personal bests arrive frequently. A 28-minute parkrun becomes a 26-minute parkrun. A 26-minute parkrun becomes a 24-minute parkrun. Everything seems to be working. Then something changes. The improvements slow down. The personal bests become harder to achieve. You run a 22:30, then a 22:15, then 22:08, then 22:04. Suddenly it feels like you're working harder than ever for only a few seconds of improvement. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. The 20 to 25 minute range is where many park runners experience their first significant plateau. The good news: a plateau doesn't mean you've reached your limit. Usually means your training needs to evolve. The beginner gains have run their course. When someone first starts running, almost anything works. Simply running consistently improves aerobic fitness, running economy, confidence, muscular endurance. The body adapts quickly because the stimulus is new. That's why new runners often improve dramatically during their first year. But those easy gains don't continue forever. Eventually, your body becomes accustomed to the training you're doing. The same runs that once produced large improvements now simply maintain your current fitness. This is where many runners become frustrated. They keep doing what worked before and wonder why progress has stalled. The answer is simple. The training that got you here may not be the training that gets you there. You're exercising, not training. This is often the biggest difference between runners who plateau and runners who continue improving. Many runners exercise. Fewer runners train. What's the difference? Exercise is about completing a workout. Training is about progressing towards a goal. Exercise might be running 3 times per week, running the same routes, running at roughly the same effort. Training involves purpose, structure, and progression. The further you move towards the pointy end of parkrun performance, the more important that distinction becomes. You're running every run at the same effort. Many runners become trapped in what I call the grey zone. Their easy runs are too hard. Their hard runs aren't hard enough. Every run ends up feeling moderately difficult. The problem is that moderate training really produces exceptional results. Some runners tend to separate their efforts. Easy runs are genuinely easy. Quality sessions are appropriately challenging. The contrast between hard and easy allows adaptation to occur. Without recovery, improvement becomes difficult. You're missing the aerobic foundation. One of the biggest surprises for runners chasing faster 5K times is discovering how important aerobic fitness remains. A 5 kilometre might feel short. Physiologically, it's still heavily dependent on aerobic energy production. The stronger your aerobic system becomes, the easier it is to sustain faster paces. That's why many successful runners continue to include easy runs, long runs, and recovery runs. Even when their goal race lasts less than 20 minutes, the engine still matters. You're avoiding threshold training. There's one type of workout that frequently helps runners break through a plateau. It's threshold training. Threshold running sits in that uncomfortable space between easy and flat out. It's challenging but sustainable. Examples include 3 by 8 minutes, 4 by 6 minutes, or 20 minutes continuous. Threshold training improves your ability to maintain a stronger pace without accumulating excessive fatigue. For many runners stuck between 20 and 25 minutes, it's the missing ingredient. You're racing more than you're training. Parkrun is fantastic. The atmosphere, the community, the opportunity to test yourself every week. But racing every Saturday can create a trap. When every parkrun becomes a PB attempt, recovery can suffer. Training quality can suffer. Progress can stall. Sometimes the fastest way forward is treating some parkruns as training rather than races. Build fitness first and then express it. You're closer than you think. One of the biggest mistakes runners make is assuming a plateau means they aren't improving. Often the improvements are still happening, they're simply smaller. A runner moving from 24 minutes to 23 minutes has improved by 60 seconds. A runner moving from 21 minutes to 20 minutes has also improved by 60 seconds. The second improvement often requires far more patience and consistency. The closer you get to your potential, the more valuable every second becomes. That's normal. It's also why the runners who continue improving are often the runners who trust the process. What should you do next? If you're currently stuck somewhere between 20 and 25 minutes, don't assume you've reached your ceiling. Instead, ask yourself, do I have enough structure in my training? Am I developing my aerobic fitness? Am I including threshold work? Am I recovering properly? Am I training consistently? Small improvements in these areas often produce meaningful improvements in performance. And if your goal is to break 20 minutes, the first step is understanding where you currently stand. My free guide, the Sub 20 Parkrun Blueprint. If you're serious about running your fastest ever parkrun, download my free guide, the Sub 20 Parkrun Blueprint. Inside, you'll discover the 5 habits shared by successful Sub 20 parkrunners, the 3 key workouts that improve 5K performance, the Predictor workout that reveals whether you're within striking distance of breaking 20 minutes, common mistakes that keep runners stuck above the barrier. Most importantly, you'll discover whether you're closer to your goal than you think. Download your free copy with the link in the description. Not sure if you're ready for the Sub 20? Start with a blueprint. The Predictor workout inside the guide will help you assess your current fitness and identify the next step in your training journey. If you feel good at 2 kilometers, you're probably doing it right. One of the strangest feelings during a parkrun can happen around the 2K mark, but check in with yourself. Your breathing is under control, your legs feel reasonably good, you don't feel like you're hanging on, and immediately a thought pops into your head. Am I going too slow? For many runners, that thought is exactly what causes pacing mistakes. The myth of feeling terrible early. There's a common belief that if you're racing a 5K properly, it should hurt from the start. But somehow feeling comfortable means you're not trying hard enough. The reality is usually the opposite. A well-paced parkrun should build an effort. The first half should feel controlled. The second half should feel challenging. And the final kilometre should feel like you're giving everything you've got. Why 2 kilometres is such a useful checkpoint. By 2 kilometres, the excitement of the start has settled. You've found your position in the field. Your breathing has usually stabilised. And you've got enough information to assess whether your pacing is sensible. That's why 2 kilometres is such a valuable point in the run. It's early enough to make adjustments, but late enough that you have a realistic picture of how you're travelling. What you're looking for. At 2 kilometres, ideally you should feel comfortable but working, in control of your breathing, able to maintain your current effort, and confident that you can increase effort later if needed. Notice what's missing from the list. Panic. If you've already in survival mode at 2 kilometers, there's a good chance you've gone out too hard. The danger of misreading the signal. Many runners reach 2 kilometers feeling okay and immediately surge. They assume they're not working hard enough, so they force the pace. The problem is they often turn a well-paced run into a poorly paced one. Instead of building naturally through the second half, they spend the remaining distance managing fatigue. Trusting the process takes discipline, but discipline usually produces better results than impatience. Let the run come to you. A good park run doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds. You settle in during the opening stages, you establish rhythm through the middle, and you can compete in the closing kilometers. That's why feeling reasonably good at 2 kilometers isn't a warning sign. It's often evidence that you're pacing the run exactly as you should. A simple question to ask yourself. The next time you pass the 2 kilometer mark, ask, do I feel like I still have another gear? If the answer is yes, that's a good thing. You don't want to be searching for extra energy at 2 kilometers. You want to be saving it for when it matters the most. Bringing it back to Saturday. Next Saturday, pay attention to how you feel at 2 kilometers. If you're feeling comfortable, controlled, and still have something left in reserve, don't panic. Trust it. Stay patient and let the effort build naturally towards the finish, because the runners who feel strongest at the end are often the runners who stay most controlled at the beginning. He took it on. Ian runs Toronto Invictus Games Parkrun Progress Report. This week's Parkrun Progress Report takes us back to Toronto, where a special parkrun was staged during the Invictus Games as part of the event program and sponsor activities. It brought together athletes, support staff, families, friends, volunteers, and visitors. Among those on the start line was Ian Young, representing the United Kingdom Invictus Games team. Ian and I both lined up that day. I've previously written about my own performance at the same event, where I eventually managed to take the win late in the run. You can read that report here at the link in the description. But this week is about Ian's race, because when you look at the data and the context, it was a very impressive performance. Important context, 2 weeks of competition already completed. Before we even look at the splits, one factor matters enormously. Ian had already completed 2 weeks of competing at the Invictus Games prior to this parkrun. That means he wasn't arriving fresh, tapered, fully recovered, or focused solely on a 5K PB attempt. He was coming off the back of a major multi-day international event environment with all the physical and emotional load that comes with it. That context makes this run even stronger. The run at a glance. Ian's watch measured the course at 4.76 kilometres and he ran 18:28. Splits, first kilometre 3:41, second kilometre 3:47, third kilometre 3:51, fourth kilometre 4:05, and the final 760 metres at 4 minutes pace. This is a classic race pattern: aggressive opening, controlled middle, fatigue and pressure late, as well as still fighting to the finish. Ian made the race happen. Some runners sit and wait. Ian didn't. He took the race on early and found himself leading through the first half of the event. That opening kilometre of 3:41 tells us plenty. It shows confidence, intent, willingness to commit, readiness to race rather than simply jog for a result. That's the mark of a competitor. The first 3 kilometres was strong. Progression of 3:41, 3:47, 3:51. It's actually quite natural after a fast opener. This isn't reckless pacing. It's a runner setting a high tempo, then settling into the reality of race pace. Up to 3 kilometres, Ian was still running very strongly. The turning point in the race, the 4th kilometre came in at 4:05, the slowest split of the run. This likely reflects a combination of accumulated fatigue, the cost of leading early, tactical pressure as the race changed, responding to moves rather than simply cruising. That's what racing does. A time trial is clean and smooth. A race often isn't. And he still kept fighting. And what I really like about is the final section. The last 760 metres are still covered at around 4-minute pace. That matters because it shows Ian didn't mentally switch off once the lead changed. He stayed engaged. He kept competing. He pushed all the way to the line. That says a lot about character. Heart rate and cadence. Strong mechanics under fatigue. Heart rate rose progressively 170, 176, 184, 180, and 183 beats per minute at the finish. Cadence stayed excellent 192 SPM, 190, 190, 190, then 198 at the finish. That's a huge positive. Even under fatigue, mechanics stayed sharp and turnover remained high. Often, when runners tire, cadence drops and posture goes with it. That didn't happen here. Why this run deserves respect. Without context, some people might simply look at led early, got caught late, but context matters. Ian had already spent 2 weeks competing at the Invictus Games. He still turned up, still raced hard, still led, and still fought to the finish in a fast field. That's impressive. The lesson for park runners: there's 2 ways to approach a 5K. Run for time, smoother pacing, measured effort, even splits. Race for position, tactical decisions, surges, responding to others, willingness to hurt when it matters. Ian chose the second one, and that there's real value in that. What might have produced a faster time is that if this had been a solo run with fresh legs, slightly more conservative opener, smoother middle kilometres, no tactical disruptions. But that wasn't the challenge on the day. The challenge was to compete, and he absolutely did that. The takeaway: sometimes the fastest run isn't the bravest run. Ian's performance was brave, competitive, and honest. That deserves recognition. Want help with your own parkrun pacing or racing strategy? If you'd like to improve your pacing, race smarter, and finish stronger, Parkrun Kickstart is designed to help you do exactly that. Join Parkrun Kickstart with the link in the description. And if you'd like your own run reviewed for a future Parkrun progress report, apply with the link in the description. Ka kite anō, and all the best for your next parkrun.